Good morning. What's going on, guys? It's the Money Talk Show with Dane, where we talk about all sorts of interesting topics having to do with money, specifically real estate and cryptocurrency here. So if you like those topics, you're in the right place. We're doing our absolute best to help real estate people and entrepreneurs in general understand what we feel like is the absolute biggest opportunity over the next few years in cryptocurrency. So if you're here, we're grateful that you're here. You're in the right place. We're pumped to chat with you about that. We've got some excellent talking points this morning. But before we get into that, Corey, take it away.
Yeah, Crypto Millionaires here with Corey Geary, and just yeah, man, just enjoying this beautiful ride that we're on during this bloody bear market, man. Just accumulating and building our positions even stronger, and trying to teach the good word over to the real estate space and entrepreneur space, knowing that this is the best opportunity of a lifetime right now, during this moment, and it's just been an absolute blast. Guys, we were supposed to have a Stu Man on today from Tetra, but we had to reschedule him. He had some issues come up, and we're going to reschedule him for next Thursday. But we do got some plenty to talk about today with everything going on. So, yeah.
Absolutely. We got a few of you guys on. Appreciate you jumping in. We got Francis. What's up, Francis? Appreciate you joining us. Jen Hex is on this morning. What's up, Jen Hex? Gabriel. Do you think when Sync is done, testnet V3 will launch? Yeah, I mean, in fact, this is a great place to start this morning. Let's go ahead and start here with version 3 testnet updates from Richard. So let me pull. In fact, Corey, go ahead if you want to take this question, and while you're doing that, I'm going to pull.
Yes, they will. There might be a couple more things they're going to have to polish up. They got to make sure the RPC settings are working correctly. They got to make sure everything else is updated, front ends in the system. You know, make sure Pulsechain is correctly working, which it's already working. I know that, but there's a few other loose ends, if you will, that need to be tied up even when the sync is done. So we could expect maybe another, week, probably max after the sync. So we're anticipating anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks that we could see V3. That was a week. Actually, that was a week ago. So it could happen this weekend or this coming up week. Actually, now I was talking to Gamma about this. About what he thinks when V3 is going to launch, and that could be a realistic expectation. Anywhere from this weekend through next week could be V3. So super exciting to see what happens when it launches, and we've had kind of a bit of a pullback while we're waiting, which is really cool because if you guys are looking to DCA into some hacks before this launch of V3, this is not financial advice, but in my opinion, this might be kind of our last shot to grab a little bit of hex before the takeoff of V3 launch. Now, after V3 launches, I'm also anticipating a pullback, maybe after a week or two, maybe even a month time after, when the news kind of wears off and you got people who are the traders who are going to dump. So there might be another opportunity then. But I think pre V3, this could be the last opportunity. Like I said, not financial advice. This is just me telling myself, so that way if I want to pick up a little bit of a DCA bag in, I might do that today. Who knows? So
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. It should be this one. All right. Can you see? Okay, cool. So we've got Twitter pulled up. This is Richard Hart. 2 days ago, he was giving us updates about version 3 of testnet for Pulsechain. And you can see there was a bug, but then he indicates here, nice, looks like the peering bug is already dead. Look at all these beautiful private testnet nodes in green, just waiting on those Aragon nodes to sync up so they can be added, which then allows the explorers to operate. So I can't wait
to my node validator looks like that.
Oh, it'll be so cool. It'll be so cool. So according to this, we're just waiting, it sounds like, for syncing to be done. Then the explorers can operate. There will probably be some additional tooling. But with this just being a test net, I mean, I understand that Richard wants to stick the landing and get things as right as possible. But also, like, there's room for error. Since it's just a test net, they could go and launch. Yeah, it sounds like this week or next would make another. So there's a lot of on Twitter and some of these forums where people are saying, "Oh, we go to version 3 Pulsechain testnet, and then we're there for like 2 weeks, and mainnet launches immediately." What do you think? How long do you think that we'll stay on testnet? Post it in the comments. We'd love to get your feedback. Corey, let's start with you. What do you think that looks like? And also, in fact, if you'd share some perspective kind of from your conversations with Gamma, if you guys are unaware, that we'll be spinning up. Corey's heading that up, and he's hired one of the Pulsechain developers who goes by the name of Gamma. He's been on one of our previous shows. He'll come back on again, hopefully, as we get closer and closer. So Corey has a paid mentorship with Gamma to be able to spin the node up. So with those, on how actually we go to mainnet.
Dane, your connection's cutting out pretty bad. I thought it was on my end, but it's also in the audience. I don't know if you have another. You can switch it over or. How's my connection, guys? Comment in the. Am I okay? Is it just Dane or is it both of us?
Let's try this. Is it any better?
Yes, there you are.
It's better?
It was. You froze again. There you go. You froze again. Corey says, I'm good. Okay, I'm good.
It's working a little bit now. Well,
Ruben says, I'm good.
Just me. No.
Got to get that Gigablast, man. So while he's frozen, guys.
Am I back?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, you're back. Let's see if this holds strong.
You take it. I'll put me on my hotspot right now. I'll go reset the internet real quick. But go ahead and take that question.
Okay. So in my opinion, actually, in my discussions with Gamma, we're anticipating anywhere from 1 to 3 months. Where the more realistic timeline's probably 3 months. 1 month is like if everything is absolutely perfect and there is just no issues and everyone's spinning up their node validators. They don't discover any more bugs. They don't see any issues, not only with the network, but any of the front ends. Also with Pulsechain, also with the sacrifice, everything that's involved in the whole entire ecosystem has to run flawlessly before they launch. And so 1 month at the bare minimum, which is probably not realistic, to 3 months, which is more realistic, is when we probably will see launch come. So if we launch testnet this weekend, which I hope we do, we'll probably see mainnet 3 months probably after that is going to be the realistic expectation. Where it could be a little bit less. Just keep that in the back of your head, but don't expect it. So,
right,
you're back, and it looks good.
I'm back. We'll see if it holds. And one thing that I think is really important to keep in mind. So with that, a lot of people are saying, there's some of these claims that people think that Hex will go to all-time highs leading into Pulsechain mainnet. Now that could happen, but be careful out there, you guys. If you were part of the Hedron launch, you saw that there was a lot of anticipation that leading up into the first set of auctions that there would be this price run up. And it actually did the opposite. It turned out that anybody or the majority of people that wanted to grab Hedron for those first set of auctions to bid on the HSI stakes, they had actually bought before and price went and tumbled from there. And it hasn't since recovered. It hasn't yet. I think that we'll be fine in the long run. But it'll be really fascinating to see what Hex does. And that being said, with Hedron, it's a little bit more of it's an advanced play with more advanced players. Whereas with Hex, I think you have a lot more retail. retail buyers that are going to come in and they're less, advanced, and they're going to buy it up. It'll be really fascinating to see. So yeah, I am very interested to see what happens there.
Absolutely, much bigger community over on the Hex side. Not everybody in the Hex ecosystem is using Hedron and Icosa. Like you said, it's more of the advanced players in the ecosystem who are utilizing that protocol, really. And where almost like Hex is like, it's so retail known, and everyone knows about the event coming up. So, doing the buy the room to sell the news. So I think it's more likely we do see that big price increase going into V3 when it launches. But who knows? You never know.
You never know. That's the thing, and that'll be fascinating to see. Jen Heck says, looking forward to running a validator as well. That'll be cool. And Alex, if you guys are not familiar, Alex with Hedron and Icosa, it sounds like he's working on some plug and play options. So if you want to run a very simple validator, it sounds like he'll have some options if you don't want to go to all the effort of buying a separate computer and learning some Linux and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and Jen Hess, when you get ready to do that, let's connect. Would love to, discuss how you're doing it, what you're going to do, if you're going to use the easy route. And you can comment in here in the comments if you plan on buying one of Alex's, the plug and plays, or are you planning on building one from scratch? Just kind of the way what I did.
Very cool. This is a great question. Do you know what will be the best fiat on-ramp for when Pulsechain launches? So I know the guys over on the guy on Twitter, I think it's OX Coast. They're building a fiat on-ramp to be able to make it so you could on-ramp directly into Pulsechain. I think there's also if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a Chinese exchange called OKX that sounds like you'll be able to buy Pulsechain directly on their exchange. But you've got to keep in mind, and I don't want to speak for the guys that are building the fiat on ramps, but it sounds like, or the feeling that I'm getting is a lot of these, the fees will be quite high. Mm-hmm. And so it might be a lot cheaper if you go and you utilize something like Trust Token. If you haven't used Trust Token and it's available where you live, I heavily recommend checking it out. Corey and I, that's kind of our preferred fiat on and off ramp. We've moved pretty significant amounts of money in and out, and it's been pretty freaking smooth. In fact, the only real issues that I've had with them is when I've done something wrong on my own part. So it's been pretty smooth, and it's cool. Right now, there's no fees. You literally pay no fees to on-ramp your money through Trust Token. You have to pay a wire fee with your bank when you go you send the money in, which you have to pay a wire fee regardless, no matter where you're sending it, if you're sending a wire. So you pay a wire fee to your bank. There's no fee for the exchange. And it's cool because it's not built like a decentralized exchange. It's more just a quick intermediary where you go and you put in your bank account and you put in your wallet address. And it's cool. You can put in a hardware wallet address. And so when you go and you wire your funds in, they send the TUSD. For those of us that are in the United States, they send the TUSD stablecoin. They mint it directly into the wallet that you list on your account. And so it's cool because you're not getting stuck in no man's land and third-party centralized exchange where they're going to hold your funds for 7 to 10 days before you can do anything with it, like a lot of these other ones work, and charge you fees. It's been really slick. So my anticipation is that for the time being, I'm probably just going to keep using Trust Token on ramp into Ethereum and then bridge over using, I think it's called Pulse Ramp, which is the bridge that Richard's team has been working on to be able to make it so you can bridge in Ethereum assets over to Pulsechain. So that's my plan, and I think that'll be the cheapest option.
It will be the cheapest in my opinion. And then once you bridge it over, if you don't want to like hold those bridged assets, because obviously there's a risk to that. Now obviously Power City is coming up with their own version where there is no bridge, and that might be the way to go, but we got to wait and see how that works. Otherwise, if you're using the bridge, you can swap out of that bridged asset immediately when you're over in the other chain to something more native, like the like the Power City stablecoin they're going to have for Pulse X, or Liquid Loan stablecoin that they're going to have. Or if I think we're going to end up seeing at some point in time, like a Circle doing a USDC type version over there. It might take a little time before we see it, but I do anticipate something more native dollar-backed stablecoin coming to Pulsechain.
Yep. And as always, be very careful. We can let Randy Hilarski be the guinea pig because he seems to like to do that. Props to Randy. We really like Randy here. I am not interested in being the guinea pig. And with all of this stuff going to be brand new, I want to see the liquid loans stability coin, and I want to see the Power City stable coin. I want to see that tested out and working well without issues for a number of months before I'm real interested in swapping into those assets and feeling really comfortable with it. So you do whatever you feel like is right for you. Make your own financial decisions.
Yes.
Do you know if Trust will be linked to Pulsechain at launch, or will they
Not
have
at launch?
No. Yeah. And some people confuse because there's the Trust wallet and then there's Trust token. The two things are separate. They're separate companies. So Trust token, where you can onboard your fiat and offboard it, that will not, as far as I'm aware, be linked to Pulsechain. Trust wallet, if you want to use that, I imagine you can just go put in the RPC settings and you can access Pulsechain that way if you're using Trust wallet. So just an important differentiator.
Yeah.
Jen Hex says going with a system 76 box probably.
Cool, man. That's what I did. I built out an absolute beast of a machine, so I can run multiple validators on the Pulsechain network. Plus, I can also run multiple layer 1 blockchains on this machine that I bought. And I want to run a teller node, which is going to be the Oracle for a reporting service to Pulsechain. So I wanted to make sure I was not going to be bottlenecked. And so I spent a little extra money on that, Jen Hex. You don't have to do the same. If you want to just run Pulsechain alone, and maybe you want to run 1 to 5 validators on that Pulsechain machine, then you maybe spend about $2K is all you really going to need to spend to get just a basic basic hardware that can run Pulsechain. So if you want a little more information, obviously you can hit up Gamma. He has he's got his own group. It's called Gamma DevOps Chat in Telegram, where he can share the specs for you on that. Or if you want to DM me too, I could point you onto the right direction, what kind of machine you need. But you expect around 2,000 for the bare minimum. And then anything more, obviously, if you want to run 100 validators, you might need something a little more beefier. Or if you want to run a separate blockchain, like say you want to run AVAX and Pulsechain, or maybe you got enough Ethereum to run Ethereum, you're going to need a beefier machine than a $2,000 machine. So,
when you off ramp using Trust token, does it look like the transaction is coming from escrow from your bank's point of view? So this is a commonly held belief that I found not to be accurate in my experience.
Yeah, I think that's your bank though, Dane, because mine it does. Bank of America, it shows it as an escrow account. It don't show like I've heard it's a real estate escrow account. It doesn't show that, but it does. There's no correlation from my bank that it's crypto. That's
so with my bank, it shows. I agree. It shows as an escrow account. However, I bank primarily with U.S. Bank, and they and in fact, I was sending a wire for a decent amount of money to onboard over to Trust token, and I told them, I just said, oh, like this is a real estate fund, a Trust account. I just need to send my money over because that's the talking point, or at least that's the one we've heard. So I told them that, and I literally went in right at opening because I really wanted to get the money in, and I wanted to have it available to use later that day. Come lunchtime, the money still hadn't moved. And so I called the bank and I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, I need these funds transferred now. And we spent the rest of the day, me going back and forth with the wire department. And they're like, oh, if it's for a real estate transaction, then like, show us a HUD, show us some documentation. I'm like, well, and now I'm backtracking and I'm like, well, it's not actually for real estate. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's an exchange account. I just need to fund an exchange account. And they went in, they actually did the research and they said, oh, we can see this is linked to like cryptocurrency. We think you're getting scammed. And I said, no, I've done this before. You guys can see in my previous wire history, I've sent to this bank before. Everything's fine. I need you to just send the money. And their feedback at the end of the day was, well, we're not going to send it because we think you're getting scammed. And I was furious, and I don't get out of sorts very easy. And I'm like, look, this is my effing money. If I tell you to send my money, then send my freaking money. And so I didn't think they were going to do it. And in fact, I called you because I was pissed because
I remember you called me.
I want to get a part of it. And I'm like, I'm so annoyed that I'm missing this opportunity. And then the money like showed up. So I don't know if I was upset enough.
It's weird. I've never had one issue ever with Trust Token of Bank of America, and I've done multiple transactions in and out where when I used to hold the phone, guys, you're gonna love this one. I used to use FTX back in the day for my on and off ramp. I never kept money on there, thank God, but I used to use my on and off ramp. I found it quite easy. And I used to get flagged all the time by Bank of America on and off ramping through FTX. And also, I've also tried using Binance before too. And anytime I've used a centralized exchange, B of A flags it every single time.
Really? That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my talking point when I'm onboarding money, I never say cryptocurrency. I always say I'm funding an exchange account. That's all that I need to do, and that seems to work. So use that for what you will. Jen Hex says, I was thinking of a similar setup, multiple Pulsechain validator and a teller node as well. Very cool.
Yeah, cool, man.
Very cool. All right, this is let's get into this one. So this is a fascinating talking point. There's two very large events that could be happening. It sounds like this month and next month within the next 30 days. So from what I could tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, Corey, but I believe it's actually tomorrow that it appears like some of the Bitcoin from the Mt. Gox issues that they're starting to be released to some of the holders. It sounds like it'll be dripped out from starting tomorrow clear through September. And some of those guys are going to be getting a portion of their Bitcoin back. And I feel like it's a massive sell event. What are your thoughts, Corey?
Of course, these guys who, when all this happened, I think Bitcoin was around $400 is the average price point when all this went down. And so they're starting to, receive some of this liquidity back. And, how many X's is that? 400 to, where are we at? 21,700, I think was this morning. I mean, I don't know how, that's pretty incredible. As far as they got forced to diamond hand by getting scammed.
Right.
They got scammed and forced to diamond hand. So we're going to definitely see some of that come into the marketplace. I don't know how much it's going to affect it or not. I mean, I think we could see it get affected, but I like the idea that they're going to drip it out over the next few months. And so maybe we don't see the big giant wick down to 10K because of it. Or maybe we do. It's hard to say. How much sell pressure, but I think they're trying to mitigate sell pressure, and that's part of the point of dripping it out for the next few months. It's just very interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know.
That's the thing. I think if it was all like one big lump sum to everybody, here it is, then I think there's a really
millions and millions of dollars just saying, oh, here you go, guys. And all these people who have never experienced any kind of wealth whatsoever would, they would dump it. And so, so I think they're doing it the right way. I think we'll be okay. But do we see a little bit of sell pressure down? Yeah. And maybe not just because of that, but maybe because of the FUD. From the Fed that's going around right now, with the interest rates, they're starting to anticipate maybe we're going to see 50 basis points versus 25 basis points on the next FMOC. So we might see some FUD around that. But I just don't see BTC, in my opinion, hitting 10K without a black swan event. And I could be wrong about this. Like I said, it's not financial advice. I'm just some dude on the internet who's just talking right now. But I myself don't see it without a black swan.
I agree. I don't think now the second event, well, in addition to Pulsechain would be third. The second event that's really fascinating is the Shanghai update. It sounds like it should be early next month. They've delayed it before. Maybe they'll delay it again. So we'll see how that pans out. But the Shanghai update will allow the original Ethereum proof of stake validators, the ones that put up their Ethereum to stake and validate the network, they're going to be able to finally pull their Ethereum out if they want to, which well, in my opinion, should lead to a lot more downward pressure on the Ethereum price as well, which will be fascinating to keep track of.
I have a counter argument to that.
Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
and it's not my argument. I can't take credit for it. Once again, Gamma's the one who I follow that guy pretty close. So this is wasn't a Twitter one night, and we're talking, and someone said that what you just said, and his counter argument was no, he does not think it's going to happen. He thinks if anything, it's going to push the price of Ethereum up, because what's going to happen is there's a whole group of people who did not stake their Ethereum because they knew that they would have their Ethereum locked up for whoever knew how long. They didn't know how long. When they staked the Ethereum, there was no date given to them saying, hey, you can come back and unstake it on this date. And so they had an idea maybe, but he thinks there's going to be a lot of buy pressure because now people could go in and stake freely in and out. And so the freedom of knowing that they can get their money back will actually stimulate the market to get in and stake it now. And to
That's interesting. So he thinks there will be more stakers than there will be stakers selling out.
Correct. Yep. Huh. He believes that. Now, the bad thing that it does for the Ethereum network, not bad thing, it's good for the Ethereum network, but for a beta validator is your APY, which is around 5% right now, the Ethereum network, because it's so competitive. Will even get more competitive and start to go down even more from that. Who knows? Maybe it drops down to 3% APY, which if you're diamond handing Ethereum anyways, why not earn 3%? Because we all know most of our gains comes from price appreciation. I don't know how much more price appreciation we'll see in Ethereum. I think it could definitely do, anywhere. This is not financial advice, but anywhere from 5 to 10x max in the next bull run. Yeah, he thinks that we're going to see some pressure coming into the marketplace because now we have the freedom to stake and unstake our Ethereum, and the people who were on the sidelines who were very reluctant about staking Ethereum now are going to get involved. Like what he had mentioned in his experience, he's like, man, I'm only going to run maybe 1 to 5 Pulsechain validators because I don't know when I'm able to unstake it. But if Shanghai comes out and I'm not able to unstake my Pulsechain validator anytime, he goes, if I can unstake it, I'll run all my Pulsechain in a validator. Or if I couldn't, I'm only going to run maybe 1 because I don't know when I can get that pulse back. And so there is some of that on the other side. Now, you absolutely could be right. All that could come out, and people who are hurting, we know we went through a bloody bear market, and there are people in pain who are going to need access to that liquidity. There's no two questions about it. Right. And that money will get dumped on the market. It's just what's going to be the buy demand on the other side. Remember, everything's about supply and demand. That's all. It's everything, right? And so we know the supply will be coming out into the marketplace. But is there enough buy demand because people who want to become node validators and wanted the freedom to unstake their Ethereum come in? There is going to be a little bit of that. It's just depending on how much. We'll see.
Absolutely. In fact, I found it, and I find it so fascinating. So Corey and I, if you guys aren't following us on TikTok, we could use your help over there. In fact,
we're trying to boost it up. It's a bunch of crypto content.
I was battling the trolls all night last night. Let me show.
I don't even go. I should do that because it helps your algorithms.
Oh, it's going good. My growth over the last, like couple of nights, I think I got a few extra 100 followers in just like the last day or two, which for me is a lot. My account only has over 2,200 followers. But if you guys, so let me show you this just really fast.
Yeah, the algorithm.
Actually,
the battle of trolls.
The battle of the trolls. So here is, it's not zooming in really good. That's all right. It's at Money Talk with Dane on TikTok. You can go and find it in my link tree. And I was on there last night, and it just blows me away how I'm thumbing through the crypto content because that's pretty much what the algorithm feeds me there now. And there's so many of these guys that just like, somebody was asking him a question about what he was buying, and he's like, oh, well, like primarily top 10 coins on Coin Market Cap. That's primarily, and then like I'll buy there, and then I'll cycle some of that money into the low market cap stuff. And then from there, the micro caps. And I'm just like, bro, you're not going to change your life by buying top 10 coins. Period. End of the day, there's no debate. The data's there for anyone to go see. And so to have the opportunity, and we all do, like everybody on the show, us, you have the opportunity to tell the people that you know right now, that you like, that you trust, about Pulsechain, about Hex, about the ecosystem that's being built. I mean, can you imagine? We would have loved, I wish somebody would have told me about Hex when it was launching. I wish that the algorithm would have blessed me with some Richard Hart earlier on. And we have the opportunity to tell our friends and family about Pulsechain right now. So big deal. Appreciate your guys' help on socials.
Yeah, please. Mine too. Mine's just Corey Geary on the socials. It's the Corey Geary at Instagram, and then Corey Geary on TikTok. It might be the Corey Geary on TikTok, but you just search Corey Geary and you'll find me.
Yeah. Do we think Zen may have a negative loan effect on the Pulse release, with some folks getting Zen for minimal cost? Have a negative loan effect. Do you know what they're saying, Corey? Loan effect on Zen. I'm not aware of any loan ability on.
I mean, Jack's talking about doing flash loans in the future for your unstaking or your minting. If the Ethereum network fees are going to be extremely high, they're going to set up a flash loan, so you can go in there and stake. You can make money on your Ethereum fees for participating in this flash loan protocol. I don't know if there's any more news about that, but that's the only thing I know. That's something that's a loan against with Zen. Other than that, I'm not sure what he's talking about. I mean, do we think Zen may have a negative loan effect on Pulsechain, with some folks getting Zen for minimal?
Yeah, Doc, feel free to add some more clarification on this question with a second.
Yeah, are you talking about the flash loans, or you talking about with Pulsechain? I don't know. Pulsechain, like I know that obviously if Zen gets launched on Pulsechain, like if Richard, I don't think he will. If he doesn't fork out the contract, I know he's talked about it with a couple other tokens like Wise, and then I think there's another one that was an early Hex copy. I don't think he's going to do it with Zen, but if assuming we get it, it's actually it will be healthy in the net for the network, in the sense that it could make Pulsechain deflationary. Our network is not congested like Ethereum. Like I think Zen is bad for the Ethereum network, in my honest opinion. Even though it makes Ethereum deflationary, it makes it to where the average user can't use Ethereum, and that's bad, in my opinion. Where in Pulsechain, we're not going to have that problem. Jack can try to spam up our network all he wants, and it's not going to really have that big of an effect, except for it could make it deflationary, which is really cool. So I don't think it's going to be an issue to have Zen on Pulsechain. Whether you hate it or not, it could be very good for the ecosystem. Where on Ethereum, I really don't think it's good for the ecosystem.
Well, and Jack's building an ecosystem, you know what I mean? And he's getting followers, he's bringing people into crypto, and the more people that, it's like vampire attacking. Essentially, it's a gigantic vampire attack Pulsechain is of Ethereum and everything built over there. And so if we can bring those guys over to Pulsechain, that's good in general. And keep in mind that there will probably come a day where Pulsechain gas fees are out of hand, just like Ethereum. And if they do, well, that'll be a blessing for all of us that were early, because that means we're freaking rich at that point.
We're really rich. Doc Clover said load. So do we think Zen may have a negative load? Okay, so now that makes sense. Yeah, that's what we were kind of touching on. In the beginning, yeah, it will be a heavy load, but I don't think it's going to be we're not going to see like fees like on Ethereum on Pulsechain, because of the 1.2 million dilution, and we're just not going to be congested like Ethereum. So I think we'll be okay. I think actually it'll be good for our ecosystem in the beginning. Now that can change down the road, and like I said, I think it has more of a negative effect on Ethereum than it does on any other chain, because Ethereum is just way too congested and it shouldn't have this kind of activity. I mean, I was on a Sunday night, I was trying to mint the Pulse Bitcoin NFTs because there's a new protocol launching for that. And so I was trying to mint them, and it was like $45 to mint an NFT. I'm like, I'm not paying this. The Gwei was like 30 something. I think it was like 38, 39. I can't remember. But on a Sunday night, I'm like, why am I paying $50 in a bear market on a Sunday night? Like, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And so Ethereum is just so frustrating right now. And for people who don't have a lot of economic energy and they want to try to get some of this opportunity of mad gains, it's hard for them. If somebody only has $5,000 to invest and that's all they got, well, man, they're going to eat up 20% of their economic energy because they have to swap money around. They got to pay fees to buy and then stake. And then by the time they're at the end of the movie, they've lost, 15-20% of their bag because Ethereum is just raping you. And that's where I really get upset with the way the whole network is working. And Pulsechain is just going to be such a blessing for all of us in this sense that it's going to lighten the load some on Ethereum, and then Pulsechain is just going to be so super cheap. And it's going to be faster, guys. We've already confirmed it. We're going to have 10-second block times versus the 12-second block times. So it's going to be even faster. And you're going to notice it to be way faster because usually on Ethereum, what happens is you submit a transaction to the blocks. You're having to wait 12 seconds, but a lot of times the blocks are passing you by because the volatility, the GOE is so high up to the upside and downside that a lot of times you're missing blocks before your order is filled and picked up by a validator. Well, you're not going to see that on Pulsechain. You're not going to see it. You're going to see your transaction picked up on the first block. So it's going to be almost instantaneous. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to notice a massive difference.
Very cool. Jennifer asked a great question. When can we settle real estate deals with crypto? So as far as purchasing real estate, I know at least on the MLS here in Utah, there's actually an option now that you can go buy real estate with crypto. So that's an option. But as far as settling and doing that on the blockchain, honestly, I think we're so far away from that. In my opinion, I'll let Corey comment here.
I think 10 years.
Yeah, I think we're so far out.
Maybe 2 bull market cycles.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 bull market cycles before we start seeing something like this. Because we need more mass adoption in the ecosystem for this to take place.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine like bringing all of the systems and government entities move so freaking slow. And those are the guys that we've got to get to come on board because they're the ones that are keeping record of, ownership and title and all that type of stuff. And I also like the more that I think about a real estate application with crypto, and I think Corey might disagree with me on this, so we'll get Corey's opinion in just a second. But Richard's talked about before, decentralization can be a beautiful thing in things where there doesn't need to be people. And the problem with, for instance, like taking title on the blockchain, well, title has to be updated. I don't see a way, and maybe I'll be proven wrong in time, but I don't see a way that you can update title automatically in a decentralized way. You'll need human intervention to go and update it. So even if it's recorded on the blockchain, well, that could be useful to be able to go and get data quicker. So I like that application. But if somebody wanted to do something nefarious, there was a story here locally in Utah with a title company where this guy is literally, people are sending money in to close transactions and they're just keeping it and they're not closing the transaction. Well, people like that could go and input incorrect information on the blockchain for a title, and then people are getting the wrong information. And so I don't necessarily love the application in certain respects.
That will get solved at some point in time in the future, where you can cut out the middleman. Remember, cryptocurrency was invented to get rid of middleman, period. So when we're talking about getting rid of title companies, well, that's a middleman. I mean, I got some beautiful ladies who I've worked with, who I love to death here in Phoenix, that I've taken cookies at Christmas to because they're just so awesome. But they're middlemen, and that's just we're cryptocurrency to get rid of that. Now, if there's somebody entering in the information to the blockchain, yes, that's another middleman. So there'll have to be an evolution where the blockchain, or maybe there's a certain blockchain that is connected to every single house in the United States, right? And there is no updating by a human per se, where like when something happens, it needs to automatically update in the blockchain. And I don't know how that's going to look yet, but there has to be something.
But how would that even occur? Because you go and you get I'm not seeing it right now. And it'll be fascinating to see the evolution.
You don't see it right now, but if you can imagine it, it can be done.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath for real estate because think about it. Like, for instance, if you have a lien, so Corey and I have bought tons of different properties where there is, for instance, a lien from the code enforcement violation in the city because the homeowner hasn't kept the yard in decent shape. So, what they'll do is they'll go fine those people. And if the people don't pay the fines, they tend to rack up these fees. The city can then go place a lien on the property. I don't see a way that that's until we're living in a Terminator world where there's robots that are keeping track of everything. Well, that's something that a person has to go and update. And if we had everything on the blockchain, they would have to update the lien. And is that being done well and accurately? I mean,
now, obviously, right, you're correct with a situation like that. Like if I get a new roof on my house and I didn't pay the contractor, he can go put a mechanics lien on there. So those type of capabilities will still have to be in place. But when he goes records the mechanics lien on my house, it automatically updates to the blockchain. We're not going to be able to take the part out where if you screw somebody over in real life, unless you're screwing them over and we're completely on a digitalized economy with money somehow, where, like, for example, that contractor did your roof, immediately he submitted you an invoice. It was submitted digitally on the blockchain. You didn't pay him, and then the blockchain knows, or some kind of computer knowing that you didn't pay him, and then immediately it can do I don't know. I'm just trying to use my imagination here, where then it will switch over to a lien. So you would have to have a very digital world in the sense of all our money, which is coming. It's all coming.
It's coming.
You know, it's a matter of time when it happens.
And you guys can see from our conversation, like this is a ways off.
It is a ways off, but I don't think it's far off, like 100 years off. I think it's like maybe 2-3 bull runs off, is what I think. Maybe 2-3 adoption cycles. Guys, I only say a bull run because every bull run we have the adoption doubles. And so, like, you know, the adoption is what facilitate, or the bull runs is what facilitates our adoption. And so maybe 2 or 3 bull runs out, we start to see stuff like this come to fruition with the use of NFTs. And then, man, we know CBDCs are coming. Right. The use of fiat is on its way out, and people just have no idea that this is about to happen. And that's going to happen sooner than later. And so when that happens, the capability of digitalizing completely into real estate, I think, is possible in the future.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We're excited for the future. It'll be fascinating to see how the industry changes. It says, I hope it's not another scam. Feel free to elaborate on that. What are you what are you referring to?
Real estate's a scam.
Yeah. Love this comment. Seriously, appreciate this a lot. I like how you guys think about the small money investors and throw advice our way. I personally don't see that too much elsewhere. Absolutely. We're trying our best to curate content that works for, you know, small money and big money people. I think that either way, you need to find the truth tellers so you can act appropriately. And so many people, I feel like, especially in the crypto space, they're not out there to help anyone else but themselves. And they'll say whatever they think they need to say in order to benefit themselves in the short and long term. So really appreciate your feedback.
Absolutely. And cryptocurrency is one of the only spaces that I know of that you can create significant wealth out of small money. There's no other space where you can come in and put $1,000 into something and get 1,000x. Well, 1,000x times $1,000 is $1 million. There's no other space that you can do that in except for crypto. So we have to talk about how to treat the small money appropriately, the correct way, without all the narratives and the scams and everything. You know, we gotta make sure we treat it the right way. And I'm onboarding a lot of people who are just not putting large amounts of money in because obviously either they're scared to put large amounts of money in, or they just don't have it. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Dane, certain things can be integrated or programmed into the code. Code will be law. I don't disagree, but once again, like, you could program code incorrectly and something could be hacked. And I mean, you guys know all this stuff. It's a lot easier than said than done, but I agree. It'll be interesting to see how things go. Are you guys planning or actively selling your real estate to transition more into crypto? Man, we're freaking in it. So I had, at the height of my rental portfolio, I had 25 doors. I've sold everything but a duplex off that I own locally here in Utah. I own that. My dad is actually my partner in that deal, and I didn't want him to have the tax consequences. He's a lot more conservative than me, and so we've kept that one. It's actually that was a really good deal. The cash flow on it is just fine in real estate terms. So everything else, I mean, 23 doors, poof, and it's all gone into crypto. And Corey, you can speak for yourself.
I'm about the same way, man. I've liquidated most of my rental portfolio into crypto. I think I have like 3 left right now. I'm still trying to sell one and put that in. And I mean, yeah, there's just no better opportunity right now than crypto, in my honest opinion. So why not use and in my opinion, a real estate has not taken its dump yet. We've only seen about it maybe a 10% or 10 to 20% retrace. I think it's going to get way worse for real estate, my honest opinion. So why not sell the high on real estate, transfer that money into something that we're on the low on, that has the highest volatility, the highest appreciating asset known to mankind, highest volatility to the upside and downside, but to the upside, and we're down, and transfer that money over, that economic energy over, use that to ride the wave up. And then by the time we get up into the next bull market, we might actually see real estate on its, its bottom, and transfer that economic energy back over to real estate. So using crypto, using crypto as wealth creation and using real estate as wealth preservation. And I've gone through my real estate journey trying to use real estate as wealth creation. And that's where it gets to be it's very stressful. It's very stressful. It's a grind. It's not easy, and it works, but it's not easy. And why not use crypto, the highest appreciating asset known to mankind, for wealth creation?
Right. How did you handle the taxes on that when you sold? Can you do like a 1031 into crypto? So I am unaware of, I do not believe that you can 1031 from real estate into crypto. With 1031s, you've got to buy. I believe that the official wording is you've got to buy in kind or like kind, which means, as far as I understand the tax code, you've got to buy something that's essentially like real estate to real estate. I don't think you could transfer that to other asset classes. I may be wrong. Talk to a financial planner or CPA advisor, that type of person, to nail that down.
That is pretty accurate. I've done 1031 before, and 1031 right, meaning that you can't. Hey, from what I understand, I could be wrong, but this is what I was advised, and obviously the way that my accountant interprets the tax code. Like, I can't sell a 4-bedroom, 3-bath single family house and roll that into multifamily. I can't do that. So even in real estate, it has to be, like you just said, like kind for like kind. It's got to be the same asset class, even inside real estate, to do the 1031 exchange. So obviously, going into crypto, probably not. How long you been holding your real estate, Ryan? It's probably long-term, at this point, capital gains. There's other things you could do to write off some of that. We're not financial accountants here or anything like that, but there's ways to help you mitigate some of that tax burden. Talk to a qualified professional, unless you're flipping the house, right? I mean, obviously there's short-term gains on flips, but there's other ways around some of that tax burden.
Yeah, you're both correct on the 1031. I was wondering if there was a similar thing you could do to prevent paying the capital gains when you sold your real estate. I'm not aware of any. It was all right. So here's the math. And I'm going to be we'll be really aggressive. So let's say that you bought a house for, I don't know, let's say you bought a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. For easy math, let's say it was 500 grand. You bought it for 500 grand. Let's say that you doubled the value to $1 million over the last 10 years. You bought it at a great time, you doubled the value, and now you're sitting on $1 million. Well, when you go and you sell, you're going to pay tax on the gain. And if you took depreciation, and if you cost segregated it, and there's a recapture tax, there's a lot of different taxes. And so let's say that on your gain, your 500 grand, let's say you're going to pay 50% of taxes. You go and sell, you're not going to do 1031. So there's $250,000 in this example you put in your pocket. The other 250 you're going to give away to the government. Well, I feel really comfortable in crypto. You put that 250 into crypto, you only need a double to be back where you were. And the doubles happen in crypto on weekends, depending upon
On
the
weekends. Yeah.
yeah, like so for me, I didn't care that much. I'm fine with it. I feel like the opportunity cost to be in real estate now versus crypto is absolutely massive. And so, not financial advice, you got to go make your own decisions. For me, the strain and the headache behind owning real estate and the opportunity cost for keeping my money in my rentals, it just didn't make any sense. And so I liquidated almost all my portfolio. I'm going to pay the taxes this year. It's going to be what it is, and that's fine. And I want to really position as strongly as possible into what we feel like are once in a lifetime opportunities with Pulsechain, Pulsex, Hex. We had the famous guys on yesterday, all that type of stuff. So that's
I agree 100%.
You got to make your own financial decisions.
And you really touched on the headache that it causes along building your rental portfolio, right? Because there is a lot of headache if you're the operator. If you're the operator doing this, building this this empire of real estate, there's going to be a lot of grind, if you will, doing that. Now, when we go back to real estate, when I go back to real estate, which I will, I love real estate, don't get me wrong. When I go back to it, I'm not going to be the operator.
No.
I'm going to put my money where with high level operators like Cuthberto, which we had on the show a couple of weeks ago. And I think we're going to have him on again to talk about him and his experience as an operator and have you guys kind of do some rapid fire questions with them. But he's an amazing operator. Amazing. He's going to handle my money better in real estate than I will handle my money in real estate, because he's got more years under his belt. He's been in the business for almost 30 years doing high-level deals like 3,000 multifamily doors. Like, it's crazy what he does, and he's good at it, and he makes good money doing it, and he makes his investors great money doing it, which I'd rather give my money to someone like that for real estate than me try to go out there and grind my way to the top, claw my way to the top with lawsuits and, running teams and overhead and everything that comes along with owning a business like that. I'm going to just, park my money with somebody who can do it better than me.
Yep. And absolutely, there is a ton of babysitting with that until you get to a really large portfolio. And even having so here's a narrative with real estate. Everybody says we go and create passive income through owning real estate, owning single families, multifamily, strip malls, whatever it may be. Now, if you go the commercial space, you can do triple net leases, and that can be less headache. But with houses and multifamily trailer parks, a lot of that stuff, you can get management in place. But I'm telling you, you can talk about any real estate investor that's owned any amount of rentals for over a period of time. The freaking management companies, they end up petering out over time. You've got to go find another one. You're the one that's left picking up the pieces, or your team, and then you've got to manage a team. Like, there's a lot of freaking work to it. And we're not interested in that type of work anymore.
Not interested, man. The only space in the real estate game that's kind of passive, like you said, is triple net leases. The other one is owning notes. But even when you're owning notes, meaning you're the person who owns the mortgage basically on the property, even when owning notes, you have people who go in default on note ownership, and that's when you have to get involved and start doing stuff, going to court, and it's just
Here you go, Corey.
Won't you miss getting phone calls from tenants about a crack in the paint that will just appear on the wall? Yeah, at 11 o'clock at night, right when I'm trying to go to bed.
Yep, always.
It's like
opportunity cost is sometimes completely worth handing the government some dough. Absolutely, and that's why we'll be moving to Puerto Rico end of this year, most likely, so that we don't need to have those issues again moving forward. For the most part, you've got to talk to a CPA or an attorney to figure out if that makes sense for you. But gosh, I think that we both feel like moving to Puerto Rico is the play over the next few years.
Yeah, see that
join us there. That'll be fun.
You see that Biden's trying to pass a new law, or not, I don't know if it's what you call a law, but like a bill where it will double the capital gains tax or something like that for a certain. I was like, what? You guys got to look it up, and it's not passed yet through Congress, but he's talking about doubling the capital gains tax.
I couldn't think of a better way to like try to seal your fate of not getting reelected. I just like
right.
I really don't understand it. It's the wealthy people that come and fund like the campaigning and all that stuff.
100%.
And you're and saying, here's the bird to you guys, like, I just don't understand it. Irrespective of whatever politics you believe in, in my opinion, whenever somebody wants to put their hand in my pocket, count me as not interested.
Not interested. And that's why I'm piecing out to Puerto Rico, man.
Yeah, absolutely. 20 to 40% capital gains tax. You know what? Yeah.
It's too much, man. 40%. Really? Like, so if I make $1 million, you get 400,000. What?
It makes no sense. Yeah. And it just gets worse and worse. I mean, that's why you see people leaving the United States because of the tyranny with
that's taxes. It. I mean, crazy. Look at Randy Hilarski. He's down in Panama, and he's getting citizenship in Panama, and he has no interest in coming back to the U.S. except for maybe to visit, right? Like he's just got no interest, and so you're going to have a lot more and more people like that moving forward as we completely just turn this economy into. Let's not go too deep down the rabbit hole because we're going to get banned.
Your opinion, a group of single-family homes or a multifamily complex, your experience?
So, all day long, multifamily.
Multifamily. And I wouldn't even look at a deal unless it's like, and I know this is a big jump for a lot of people mentally, but if it's not like 50-plus doors in a complex, you don't get the scales of economy. In fact, I would even say like 100 doors. If you can make it where it's 100 minimum, because then you could have management in-house. You could have them living at the complex. You could afford to hire a handyman that's full-time for the complex. You can afford to hire these different things because you have the scales of economy. When you're less
the asset pays for it.
Yeah. When you're less than that, well, now you've got to piece things up together, and it's so much more headache. I will never own a single family rental ever again in my life.
Yeah, even when we go to park money back, TG, into the real estate space, like I said, that wealth preservation, we'll be looking for high-level operators that handle, 5,000, 10,000 doors at a time. Someone who can go in there and buy 1,000-door apartment complex, take our money, and park it accordingly and treat it well in that apartment complex. And
absolutely. And if you guys want, so we've talked about this on our previous shows. I'll put the banner at the bottom. So we are building a pretty insane group. We're about to 70 members right now. I mean, the net worth in the group is stupid. There's $100 million plus net worth, I would estimate, maybe a little more, a little less. But people that own hundreds and thousands of doors in the group, we're putting together the high-level operators so that when it comes time in 2025 to be able to take profits, if you wanted to scale into real estate, the time is not to create a plan then. The time you should have had a plan well before so that you can go and do the things that you need to with the right people. And we're building all of that out now. And so that's our plan, and our intention is to be able to go take profits and say, hey, high-level operators in real estate that love to find deals and negotiate deals and manage these properties, where are we going? And then we can allocate whatever amount of our capital we want into those types of deals, and we can help facilitate all of that. So if you're interested in those types of things, make sure that you check out the link here in the banner. You can schedule a call with me or Corey. We'd love to chat with you about the group, what we've got going on there, how we could help you. It's not for everybody, so no pressure if you decide it's not for you. But we'd love to help and talk to you about that type of stuff.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that being said, this is a great place to end the show. Is there anything you want to hit on to finish up, Corey?
My man here says I want that Pulse X t-shirt. I think I bought it off Hex merch. I buy the majority of my stuff off of there. You probably see me wearing all kinds of crypto stuff. Those guys got a nice selection of everything in the RH ecosystem as far as Hedron goes. They got that stuff. They got Icosa stuff. They even have some Pulse Bitcoin stuff going over there now. And so anything in our ecosystem it's really cool. So hexmerch.com, I think is what it is. Look them up, and I think that's where I got it. Not 100%. I've also bought stuff off Amazon, and then there's one other site I can't remember. There's two different our ecosystem sites, but I know Hexmerch is the biggest one. So.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. Tune in tomorrow. We have one of our guys from our group. In fact, he's one of my first students. It's a high-level operator that we've talked about here. He will be on our show tomorrow. His name is Clay. You guys are going to love that show. If you have any interest in potentially peeling off profits and putting it into real estate at some point, we'll talk to him about why he decided to come into crypto, why he's doing those types of things. And if you're a real estate person, why it might make sense for you to be able to consider getting some exposure in crypto. So catch us tomorrow.
And guys, we're supposed to have Stu on today. He's rescheduled with us from 1 week from today. So next Thursday, we'll have Stu Man on to talk about the Tetra protocol where you can automate your smart contracts. So it's going to be an exciting show. I'm looking forward to it. And so, yeah, we'll see you then, guys.
Cool, guys. Have a good one.